Get down on your knees. At Eric's order, Colasavini gave him a blank look. Then there was a burst of indiscriminate bombardment, and the latter seemed to have been drained of all his strength and directly rolled his eyes. Getting dressed, Eric walked out of Sweetwater Manor. It's 7 p.m., and the winter tale has fallen early, and it's already pitch black outside, and the colorful lights on the streets are even brighter. When I came to the venue of the film festival, although it was already night, it was still lively, after all. Watching movies at night had to be an atmosphere. Charge it. Turn on your phone that has been turned off for days, and you'll be greeted by countless text messages and missed calls. He coughed a few times and chose one of them and dialed back. Hey, brother Sergey, what's going on? Why did you call me so much? Immediately, there was a cry of excitement on the other side, and Sergey could be heard desperately suppressing his anger. Eric Cooper, you're finally on the phone. Tell me where you are. I was at the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, didn't you know? I was interviewed by the media 2 days ago. Squeaky Eric could already hear the other gritting teeth. Yes, I know you're in Park City location. I'm going to be specific. What's the matter, man? You don't sound like you're happy. Okay, let me see. It's Whale Rider, and I'm in the Whale Rider movie showroom. Sergey hurriedly said, Don't move. Wait for me there. I'll be there right away. Eric waited less than 10 minutes before he saw Sergey Hassenfeld and a few people running quickly towards the side. It's not going to hit me in public. Forgive him for not daring. Pulling on his cheek, like a clown, Eric put on a big smile, got up from his chair and waved. This way, I'm here. Seeing Eric, several people seemed to have found their target, instantly accelerated and rushed in front of him, and then surrounded him on all sides. Sergey's eyes were bloodshot, and he asked in a cold tone, Eric Cooper, you really make me easy to find. Why don't you answer the phone? What am I hiding? I've been in Park City for the past few days. Then why can't I find you? I've almost turned it all over here. Eric smiled awkwardly. I made an appointment with a few female stars, and I definitely can't swagger through the market, so I have been staying in the resort for the past few days and not coming out, and I don't want to be disturbed, so the phone is turned off. The president still has to take a vacation. I've been busy for a few months. What's wrong with relaxing for a few days? Dude, your face is very bad. Are you sick? Suddenly, Sergey only felt that a lightning bolt struck his Tianlingai. He was about to be trained into a dog by that old immortal in the past 2 days, and he couldn't sleep, and this bastard in front of him was actually happy with a female star. He wanted to punch this guy in the face, but he couldn't. He had to hold back. You don't know what's going on. Just because of your interview, Hasbro's stock price is continuing to fall, and we're miserable by you. What? It can't be. I just said a few words. At this point, Sergey was so angry that he couldn't tell whether Eric was pretending to be stupid or really stupid, and he didn't have time to do so. Angry and angry, he yelled, Are you crazy? Why do you want to announce that you are a director? You don't understand at all. Seeing that he was in a hurry, Eric also put on an eager expression. What? I didn't say anything like that. I meant that I would participate in the direction, but it was only in name. Of course, the real director was not me. These damn reporters, they misinterpreted what I meant, and the people in the company, they also got it wrong. A bunch of guys who only know how to pat on the back. I'll let them get out of here when I go back. Seeing the determined expression of the young man in front of him, Sergey didn't bother to delve into it, took his hand and walked to the main theater. Wait, what's going on? Nonsense, of course. It's to clarify quickly, publish the truth, and pull the stock price back. The main theater, at this time, the movie has just ended, and compared to Leland's America, there are a lot more media gathered here. When the creators of the film thanked them for leaving, Sergey dragged Eric to stage a scene of doves occupying the magpie's nest again. Compared with those little-known little directors and actors, The reporter is obviously more interested in this MGM magnate. Yes, there are other directors of Transformers besides me. It's a huge and complex movie. I can't do it on my own. You shouldn't misinterpret what I mean. Among the following media, several of them interviewed Eric the day before yesterday, and it was strange to hear it. Could it be that we heard it wrong? Without giving these reporters a chance to ask, Eric took the opportunity to lead the topic to the movie. Hasbro is a great company, and they also send someone to help MGM design the Transformers that appear in the movie, and they are very professional in this regard, and the audience will see a new version. A reporter immediately raised his hand and asked, "Mr. Eric, you mean that the Transformers that appear in the movie are different from those in the anime? Can you understand that?" That's right. Cinema is a more elaborate technology, and we will redesign every part of every Autobot, and they will have rich expressions, exaggerated and cool transformation movements, and they will be more domineering and full of vitality. Actually, the concept sketch has already been designed, and MGM will publish a video on its official website, so you can get a taste of the Autobots and Decepticons. All right, that's all I have to say. After a few brief remarks, without giving the reporter a chance to ask again, Eric left. Well, according to what you said, I don't think it's a problem now. Sergei's eyes were still bloodshot and red. It's not clear. The market is closed today, and the effect will not be seen until tomorrow. Can I go then? No, you have to be with me. I won't let you go. Eric was speechless. Sergei, you still don't speak in this tone. The people around us are looking at us. It's okay if you don't let me leave. Then let's go together. Look at the way you look now. Your lips are white. Your eyes are red. And you have bad breath? Haven't you brushed your teeth? Sergei took a step back and covered his mouth. As a person with status, he was a little embarrassed to be said to have bad breath. Eric didn't care and grabbed his shoulders. Come on, you need to relax. I'll treat you tonight. Was treated like a dog by the old immortal on top of his head, and then looked at the young man in front of him. A little Stockholm started. Sergei was suddenly a little moved, and his eyes were slightly moist. Others are weird. That night, MGM's official website released a 1-minute video of the shape of a bumblebee and a 10-second transformation screen. Although it is still a bit rough and not perfect, what is lacking is only more refined polishing. It took more than a month from MGM to complete the preliminary stage from MGM to the initial stage. This time was already short, and it was done with Eric guiding the changes on the spot. Otherwise, if you want to do it in a month, if you want a peach, it will take at least 3 months. In Park City, in Sweetwater Manor, Eric has opened another large villa. In addition to good wine and meat, beautiful women are naturally indispensable, throwing out a lot of money, and soon a senior call girl came to the door, and after some venting, Sergei finally got out of the fire. At this time, the two were soaking in the hot spring, and the old boy finally stopped pressing. Your complexion looks so much better. Sergei exhaled a deep breath like a cultivator, as if he was still reminiscing about the taste just now. The 2 women you are looking for are really good, and you people in the entertainment industry are still living well. I got it wrong. Dude, they're just high-end goods, $2,000 takeout. I think it's a price increase. After all, it's the Sundance Film Festival, the peak season. This time the time is too tight. If you want to experience a female star, I'll arrange it next time. Hearing this, Sergei became interested and tentatively asked, "Can you get Kate Winslet?" Titanic. The middle-aged man in his 30s unexpectedly twisted it rarely. Yes, that's shredded meat, the dream of many men. Eric was a little speechless. Big brother, you're almost 40. Do you still believe in that? Finding that the other party's eyes were wrong, Sergei hurriedly explained, "Actually, my family is not happy. Rachel is also my wife. We have been separated for a long time, to be precise. We play our own games, and we don't bother each other. The 2 of us didn't have love in the first place. It was in high school. We just had a one-night stand, and then I won the lottery, and just like that started a muddle marriage. Sergey, with your status, what can you do if you win the lottery? If you don't want it, don't you just give her a sum of money? Is it necessary to get married? The price is too great, asked Eric, puzzled. Sergey shook his head helplessly. No, you don't know me, although my surname is Hassenfeld, but it can only be regarded as a branch, a very distant kind. I was a young man like you then, in fact, younger than you. The wealth and fame of this family, I didn't enjoy it when I was young. I was just a poor boy. The state law does not allow abortion, and I have no choice but to get married. Later, when I got into the Hasbro job, I slowly got to where I am today. Eric gave a thumbs up. If you put it this way, you can be regarded as independent and self-reliant, and you are young and promising. Sergey was silent, and after a pause, he suddenly smiled bitterly. It seems like this to outsiders, right? The main reason why I was able to sit in the CEO position of Hasbro was that 2 of Alan's sons died in an accident, and he has no heirs. And I'm an obedient person, so in the end this position is my turn, and that's it. And then, suddenly, Sergey seemed to open up the conversation, or had been suppressed for too long, and began to talk about his life endlessly. Hearing this, Eric was a little depressed. It turned out that behind this glamorous man was so unbearable. It's not so much the CEO as a puppet at the mercy of his uncle, who has already made 5 suits. This time he calculated Hasbro, and he was naturally used by his uncle to make a punching bag, and in Sergey's own words, he felt like a dog circling around Alan Hasenfeld's feet. His only pleasure is sex, and only sex can give him some self-esteem back. Sighing, Eric pulled out a bottle of high-strength vodka from the cupboard. Have a drink. At least it will make you forget your worries tonight. Sergey was not polite, and the vodka of more than 60 degrees was drunk directly, and the burning sensation made his face instantly swell. Shaking his head, he told the other party not to play too much. Eric got up and left, and soon 2 tall and beautiful girls entered the hot spring. At this time, on the internet, with the announcement of MGM's video, it quickly gained a lot of attention, and the 1-minute video was quickly reposted to major forums. Later, MGM even bought an ad on the front page of Yahoo, and as long as you click on the website, the first thing you see is the cool variant of the Bumblebee. Many people who were not interested in Transformers couldn't help but be attracted. Although there are also die-hard fans who dislike it from the anime version, this group of people will definitely not be able to beat the public in terms of numbers. As for Eric as a director, it is naturally no longer concerned, because the core selling point of Transformers is these iron lumps. Isn't it? Isn't it? Who watches Transformers to see people? Aren't they all here to see Autobots and Decepticons? As long as they can be done well, the movie is already more than half successful, and the video released by MGM proves this perfectly. The next day, when Eric and Sergey met again, they tacitly did not mention what had happened yesterday, and the latter seemed to be the high-spirited CEO again. At 9:30 in the morning, as the market opened, Hasbro's stock price really soared. Ha 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 ha. It worked. The stock price started to go up. Eric, you're a genius. Look at these people. They're all attracted to that video. Is this Bumblebee? That's right. We talked to General Motors that it would be a Chevrolet in the movie. Eric replied with a smile. Sergey looked at the transformation part and was amazed. It's just amazing. It's completely different from the anime version. I have a hunch that when the movie is released, these Transformers will sell like crazy. As he spoke, the last clause of the VAM agreement couldn't help but come to mind. Can 4 times the sales really be achieved? But in a blink of an eye, he put the doubt behind him. Eric, now that the matter has been resolved, I should go back to New York to report to Alan, but I hope MGM will stop making random decisions. Eric smiled and stretched out his hand. Please rest assured. Then I wish you a smooth journey, and I hope we will have a happy cooperation in the future. Happy working together. The two embraced, and Sergei got into the car. A few followers couldn't help but wonder, how did the relationship between these two suddenly become so good, and they almost had to fight yesterday? It's really strange. Looking at the departing car, Eric couldn't help but recall last night's conversation. Maybe Sergei would be a good help. The stock market has come to an end for the time being, and everyone can see that they are preparing for Hasbro in the future. Seeing off Sergei Hassenfeld, it's time for Eric to leave Park City. He came here mainly to avoid trouble, and Tao movies are secondary, and the movie catalog has been studied, except for one, Whale Rider, which is not too outstanding. By the time the film is down, it's time for him to leave. The organizing committee was contacted and asked to inform the director, and Eric found a coffee house to wait. The plot of Whale Rider is not complicated. A little girl from an ancient tribe rescues a whale, and the whale is considered to be the totemic sacred object of the tribe, so the little girl is elected as the new leader of the tribe. The plot is very simple. Eric watched the theater for a while and found that the director's use of lenses is very good, and the movie, especially the underwater part, is very beautiful, giving people a visual effect of enjoyment. And the core of this movie can be seen at a glance, which is to protect the environment and protect animals, and it is this that makes Eric feel that it has a way to make money. In the United States or the Western world, environmental protection and animal protection have always been staunch political correctness, and there are always a group of people with abnormal brains who are crazy about sports. Since some people like to engage in sports, Eric naturally has to cater to them, so although it is a literary film, if MGM releases it, the box office should be passable. After waiting for a short time, a woman with blonde hair and a shawl, beautiful appearance, who looked to be about 30 years old, walked into the coffee house. After entering, she looked left and right, saw Eric smiling and signaling to herself, immediately took off her thick coat and handed it to the waiter, and then walked over. The tight sweater showed her good figure at a glance. I didn't expect that the director of this movie turned out to be such a beautiful woman. Standing up from his seat, Eric shook hands with the other gently. I didn't expect that the vice president of MGM would be such a handsome young man. Hee, don't you watch the news? If you follow the entertainment section, you should see me a lot lately. Woman shook her head slightly. I'm a New Zealander, and I'm here to participate in the Sundance Film Festival, and I'm so busy these days that I don't have time to pay attention to those gossip entertainment. Hearing what the other party said, Eric understood. No wonder he didn't know himself. It turned out that people didn't mix in the United States at all. First meeting, Eric Cooper.
Hello, Nicky Carlo.
Sitting back down and the waiter brought a cup of coffee, Nicky Carlo said with some sighs. The winter in the United States is too cold, and after a few days here, I start to miss New Zealand, where it is a good season. That's right, it's summer, but isn't it just as cold in winter? No, it rarely snows in New Zealand in winter, except in the mountains, where it's always warm and I never have to wear a thick down jacket. Eric agrees. I also don't like down jackets. They make us look bloated. Men don't like it.
Nicky Carlo teased.
As an experienced veteran driver, Eric understands in seconds, and the two laughed. They are both people in the circle, and they are too clear about the unspoken rules here. After chatting for a while, the relationship between the two became familiar, and people with good looks have a huge advantage in this regard. Nicky, I watched Whale Rider. This is a very delicate and emotional movie, and MGM intends to buy it. Nicky Caro took a sip of coffee. Eric, you're the first person to express your intention to buy, but I still want to know, after MGM buys the movie, is it going to be released in theaters or go through the TV channel? For the movies she made, Nicky Caro knew in her heart that the disc market was definitely not suitable because it was a literary film. She had no confidence in the cinema, and the biggest possibility was to take the TV movie route. However, as a director, from the bottom of her heart, She still hopes that her work can be on the big screen, and she may not get a high box office, but she will be satisfied if she can see it. Her thoughts, Eric, is very clear. This is also the common idea of directors, and since they want to eat the meat of environmental protection and animal protection, the big screen naturally can't let go. Nikki, I understand what you're thinking, and I'm promising to go to the big screen, and if it's fast, you'll be able to see your work in February, but it's only going to start with a small screening. I hope you understand. Hearing this, Nikki Caro's voice was a little excited. Of course, Whale Rider is a literary film genre. I completely understand. So let's talk about money. I've inquired about the budget for the movie, and it's about $3.5 million, right? Nikki Carlo nodded, marveling at the other party's vast supernatural powers, and he could touch the key information so quickly. Then I'm going to buy out all the rights to the film, and you and the team behind you can get paid $6 million. Think about it. All the copyrights that Eric is talking about here are equivalent to Whale Rider in the future, except for the name of Nikki Carlo, which lets people know that she directed it, and everything else has nothing to do with her. The proceeds of the film have nothing to do with her team, and she and her team can no longer use the film to do anything commercial, otherwise it is an infringement. On the other side, hearing this offer, Nikki Carlo couldn't help but rejoice in her heart. Reputation is important, and money is just as important. The cost of $3.5 million must be watery. This is the consensus in the circle. In fact, the real cost of the movie is less than $3 million. It also includes her director's fee and other aspects, which means that Nikki Caro and related people have already taken the money once. And a literary film, selling for $6 million is not low, and after deducting it from investors, she can make another profit. Eric, I don't have a problem buying out the copyright, but this is not something I can decide alone. Please give me a little time. Yes, but I'll be leaving Park City tomorrow, and if you can't give me an answer tonight, you'll need to contact the company. After Eric finished speaking, he stood up, shook hands with the other party and left. The potential of other movies is not high. Instead of wasting time looking for it, it is better to ravage the little burnt goods of Cala Savini. Sweetwater Manor, a phone call called Cala Savini back. The other party glanced at him with some dissatisfaction. I'm running propaganda. What's the matter, so anxious? Eric pointed to his younger brother. I'll leave tomorrow. Hearing this, the chick understood in seconds and knelt down obediently. Suzu. In the middle of the game, the phone suddenly called. It was Nikki Carlo, and it seemed that she had figured it out. Nikki, I didn't expect you to contact me so soon. Eric, I've spoken to everybody and we can sign the contract now. Below, hearing a phone call, Cala Savini moved even harder, screaming like crazy. It's nothing, then the location is still in the coffee house, but you'll have to wait for me for half an hour. Is it only half an hour? The phone rang with a chuckle. You can try. On the plane, Eric was resting with his eyes closed. Leaving Colorado Savini, who collapsed on the floor with his eyes rolled his eyes, Eric went to the coffee house for an appointment. Now he has a contract in his bag, and Whale Rider has nothing to do with Nikki Carlo. After signing the contract, the two of them tried the shade by the way, in the bathroom of the coffee house, and then walked out under the strange eyes of the waiter. In this circle, there are not too many such things. After all, the nature of the work is there, and the proper noun is born, crew couple. Because I often go out to make movies. If it is a remote area and the transportation is not convenient, a group of people will be closed for several months. Everyone is an adult, and they are in this materialistic circle. A few days are fine, and it is inevitable to vent their desires after a long time. If you find your other half or go home, time is not allowed, and it is not safe to order takeout, so what should you do? The experienced ones separated after filming, and the temporary couple ended with the trend, and everyone would not mention this matter. If you are inexperienced or easy to get emotional, there will be a situation where you will fall in love with the film, and you often have to use the excuse that you can't get out of the play. But there are very few actors who are really too deep in the play, and most of them are hormones and sperm brains. Eric and Nikki Caro are like this. Eric is handsome and handsome. Nikki Carlo is just entering the age of a mature woman, and she is also a woman with taste. The woman took the initiative to ask, and the man took the opportunity to enter, and it is not clear whether there will be cooperation in the future. Do we love, and then forget about each other? As for Colasavini, she served herself wholeheartedly for several days, and it just so happened that there was a female hacker in Transformers who partnered with John Ime, so she simply forgot it and counted it as a cameo. When you have a new project, give her the right role. However, the Sundance Film Festival is not over yet, and Colasavini has to participate in the promotion and will be able to join the group in a few days. In addition, Hasbro's stock price has risen a little more today, which can be regarded as a blessing in disguise. The announcement of the Bumblebee video has really had a big impact, and now fans' expectations for the movie have been raised by a few notches at once, and I also believe that MGM is indeed capable of filming Transformers. There are also a large number of fans who have left messages on MGM's official website, asking to continue to release videos of other Transformers. Eric took advantage of the situation and ordered to announce one every half a month until the movie was released, and this kind of hype is not common now. The box office of Chainsaw, in its third week, was also released, with a normal drop of 47% to close at $21.2 million, and the North American box office accumulated $96.7 million, and analysts predicted that the final box office in North America could reach about $120 million. At the same time, it has also been released in several regions except Asian countries, and the high reputation has also brought high box office, with the cumulative overseas box office reaching $54.5 million so far, and the global cumulative box office of $150 million. According to analysts' predictions, the final global box office is expected to be $220 million, which is quite a strong result for an R-rated horror film. Transformers sets, training grounds, to be precise. A pickup truck was rampage on the road, and suddenly, a curve appeared in front of it, and the pickup truck drifted and flicked its tail into a corner.
Bang!
As a result, the drift failed, and it crashed into the guardrail wrapped with the anti-impact pad and suddenly rolled over. Seeing this, a group of people immediately ran around, and Assistant Director Patty Jenkins hurriedly dispatched rescue, and soon after the vehicle was righted, Gal Gadot climbed out of the driver's seat in disgrace. "Gadot, are you all right?" asked Patty Jenkins hurriedly. Ahem. Coughing a few times, Gal Gadot barely showed a smile. "I'm fine. Sorry for the failure. Let's do it again." Patty Jenkins looked at her hand. "No, you're injured. Check first." After the crew doctor examined it, fortunately it was not serious. It was just a bruise, and the seat belt still played a big role. At this time, the crowd parted, and Eric walked in. "Gadot, you take care of the wound first and rest for a while." "Eric, when are you coming?" Gal Gadot's eyes lit up. "I just arrived. I didn't expect to see a big scene as soon as I came. It seems that everyone is training hard." Patty Jenkins advised, "Gadot's scene is too dangerous, and it's a bit difficult to make difficult vehicle moves in a short period of time, so it's better to use a stand-in." Before Eric could speak, Gal Gadot hurriedly refused. "No, it's just driving. I can definitely do it, believe me. Here is the crew. Everyone is watching. Everyone else is training hard. Gal Gadot doesn't want to be special. It's obvious that it can be done through training, but you use a stand-in. What do you think of?" And although she looks big and informal, she has a strong personality inside, and she doesn't want others to gossip about Eric. Eric naturally means the same. A good relationship does not mean that the green light will be given, but the standards should be stricter. "Patty, this scene is related to the final battle. It is the place that best reflects the heroine's character, and it is also the place that can best show her ability. It must be filmed, and stand-ins cannot be used. The boss has spoken, and the others must obey orders, and all they can do is increase the intensity of training. And when I heard the news of the arrival of the big boss, the rest of the crew also came over to meet. The director's assistant, Neil Blomkamp, walked over with a man in a military uniform who looked to be in his 40s and exuded a fierce temperament, completely different from the rest of the crew. Eric is not familiar with the military rank, but looking at the other party's epaulets with many patterns, it must not be little Karami. The director, this is Lieutenant Colonel Freeman, who has been appointed by the military as our military advisor. Eric took the initiative to reach out and shake the other party, only to feel that the skin was very rough, and even made him feel like he was holding the bark of a tree. "Hello, Lieutenant Colonel Freeman. Welcome to the Transformers crew." Freeman smiled. "Hello, Mr. Eric. I have been ordered to assist you with the filming of the film. During this period, all the places that require the cooperation of the military, be sure to explain to me in advance, and I will arrange relevant matters. Then thank you in advance. By the way, there are several actors in the crew who need basic military training, at least to make them look like soldiers, I don't know." Eric was interrupted by Lieutenant Colonel Freeman before he could finish speaking. "Rest assured, the young men have already been sent to the nearest camp by me, and according to the shooting plan, they have at least a month of training. Within a month, even a weak chicken, I was able to turn him into a qualified soldier, of course, only on the screen. Then I'll be relieved. I hope we get along happily." "Chris, that's right. You look like a normal high school student now." Looking at Chris Evans, who was a little smaller in front of him, Eric couldn't help but nod. The original judgment was correct, and after losing his muscles, Chris Evans' temperament fits a lot with Sam. This state is not the skinny built purely with special effects in Captain America, but it is very real, like an ordinary person, like passersby who will meet on the road, and it will not make people feel exaggerated. To be honest, when he first watched Captain America, that kind of fake muscle prosthetic physique made him feel disgusting. Because he only lost his body, but his face was not slimmed down according to the proportions, so that he looked like a goblin, and the sense of disobedience was particularly strong. Captain America was filmed after Iron Man, and it stands to reason that Marvel at that time should not be bad for money, and financing is no problem. But the cheap special effects and the script of pulling the crotch are really a piece of, and when you think about it, you can only blame it on not paying attention to it. When he thinks of Captain America, Eric thinks of Marvel, and when he thinks of Marvel, he thinks of the acquisition. Acquisitions must be put on the agenda this year, and it is said that several large companies have already started to approach. However, many people have ideas, and it will be seen who is willing to pay a greater price when the time comes, and the competition is to judge the future potential of Marvel. As long as MGM will always throw 100 million more than others, no company can compete with itself. Because they have a fatal weakness, that is, they are a joint stock company and major decisions must be studied by the shareholders' meeting, and they are also responsible to the shareholders. MGM has no concerns about why Cooper and his son insisted on delisting in the first place. One is that the acquisition process will go faster. The second is that private companies can do whatever they want, and no matter how outrageous the decision is, no one dares to oppose it. The third is that MGM was already stinky at that time, and it couldn't make a few dollars to go public, so it was better to recover first and wait for the market to look forward to it before relisting. Thinking back and getting praise from Eric, Chris Evans only felt that none of his recent efforts had been in vain. He said with some self-deprecation, "You know, director, I used to play that kind of muscular man, and everyone seemed to think that I could only do this. Even my agent told me to stay in shape, to make my muscles bigger and bigger, as if without this body, I would never be able to play again." I really appreciate you for giving me this opportunity, and this is the first time since I entered Hollywood that I cannot deliberately do a workout. I don't have to go to the gym, to be honest. This feeling is very refreshing. From the words of the young American team, Eric can hear complaints and gratitude, but Hollywood is like this. It would be good to have a role, and more people can't even get a role. Chris, in fact, a little muscle is not bad. There is a kind of body called dressing thin and undressed. Just like me, a kind of well-proportioned beauty. This is the most perfect. In addition, there is a temperament in you. When you have the opportunity, why not try to grow a beard and then paint yourself with mature makeup? You will find a new self. Chris Evans frowned, but he really couldn't imagine himself in that state and thought he could try it when he was fine. Not far away, James McAvoy walks up to say hello. He wants to play a small supporting role as a computer whiz, but plays a key role in intercepting the Decepticon signal. There are not many scenes in this role, and the total appearance time is about 7 or 8 minutes, and some are still group scenes. It's not as good as Tom Hardy and Michael Fassbender, who made his face unsuitable for soldiers. But there are naturally benefits. That is, there is no need to go to the army for training. These days his friends have poured bitter water on him, and the training intensity is much higher than when filming Band of Brothers. Tom Hardy said that his thighs were swollen, and God knows what they were. James, your partner will be in the group in a few days. You guys will work together. Who is it? Calla Savini, have you ever heard of that name? Going through it in his mind, James McAvoy shook his head, thinking to himself that he was probably a newcomer too. But Eric's next words directly allowed him to break the big defense. She is nominated for the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, but she has starred in independent films, so she is not very famous. What? Oscar? How old is she? I don't know, maybe 26 or 17, a little older than you. She wants to enter the mainstream film field through Transformers. So although it is a cameo, it will definitely be very hard. You two have a rivalry, and now the pressure is on you. Hearing this, James McAvoy showed a worried look. After all, he was a little transparent and suddenly wanted to play with an Oscar nominee, which made people very nervous. Patted John Ime on the shoulder and gave him an encouraging look. But I believe in your ability. Think about what a computer master and a hacker should be. As he spoke, he called Chris Evans over. You two are good buddies in the movie, go out for drinks after training, and do what men should do together. Chris Evans knows this well. So how about tonight? I know there's a nice bar nearby. Jean Ime shrugged. It's okay anyway, okay? After 2 days, at the training base, Eric left, and he just came to see it. Leave this to Patty Jenkins and Neil Blomkamp, and he'll have to deal with a hidden problem. In New York, a plane landed at JFK International Airport, and after Eric walked out of the departure hall, just as he had last visited, a silver-white Paramila stopped in front of him. Elena had obviously dressed up on purpose today, wearing a beautiful pair of sunglasses and looking at Eric. Get in the car.
Bang.
Where are we going this time? Then, it depends on whether you want to enjoy or work first. I think it's better to do things first. It's good for all of us. I can't see that you're still a very determined little fellow. No, ma'am, it's just for you, said Eric, clutching his waist. Hearing his teasing, Elena snorted coldly. If it weren't for the fact that you helped me earn millions of dollars, I would have eaten you now. It's only a few million. It seems that you still don't trust me enough. Otherwise, you will have made a lot of money if you put all your net worth on the table. Don't bring it up. I'll be angry when you bring it up, and you have to make it up to me. Hey, listen to what you're talking about. I'm a great benefactor who has made you millions of dollars. But I've helped you make more, haven't I? And I promise you'll enjoy it too. Can you tell us ahead of time? What do you want to do to me? Or is there any good way to play? The beautiful witch glanced at him charmingly. I also have 2 nieces. They are both beautiful, and I want to get to know you. That's all it takes, and the rest is left to Eric to imagine. Fuck the fuck and let the storm come harder.